Hello, everyone, and welcome to the National Sim Racing Association BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series from the beautiful Auto Club Speedway in California. I'm Peter Short, and joining me alongside here tonight for 120 miles is none other than Mitchell Adams. Mitchell, here we are, 2-mile racetrack here tonight. We are in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series chase. Brady Smith enters tonight as our points leader.
Yep, I'm very excited to be back in the booth here for the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here in the NSRA. This is one of my favorite tracks too, so I'm glad I'm going to get a chance to see this one from up here in the booth with you. Auto Club, very difficult racetrack. It's one we've seen in the playoffs here in the NSRA before, and like you said, the battle for the points lead, it's pretty close, especially when we start getting into the playoffs. That's really where the focus turns to, and Brady Smith has a bit of a lead over Jason Gracias, but it's a little bit tighter behind them. But, Peter, I'm expecting a lot of close racing here tonight, and I'm hoping these drivers can put on a good show for us.
Yeah, of course, the drivers that are in the chase for the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series Championship, they will be up at the top of the screen and have a little C next to their name. So we'll be keeping our eyes on those drivers, and that one right there, the number 15, and Maxwell Castro, the fastest of the chase drivers currently, as we have about 3 minutes left in this practice session. So Castro, he's going to pull off the racetrack right there. John Cannizzaro Jr. in the number 17, still sporting that Derek Cope scheme. He is the second fastest of all here tonight. And just to go over those point standings entering the night, Brady Smith with a 13-point lead over Jason Gracias. Race Clark is 15 points behind Brady. Drew Eisenman, another 14 markers back. Maxwell Castro, 30 points back. Justin White, also 30 points back. Then you have Chris Darling, Matt Cherry. Those drivers who are in the chase, same thing with Josh Sobel and Jeffrey Vickery, did not show up last week, and they did not request a provisional, so those drivers have some significant work to do. They're going to have to really hope another driver misses one of these upcoming races before the end of the season. Otherwise, their chance of making a championship run is all but gone. One race into the chase. We do have, of course, a couple more races left this season. After tonight at Auto Club, we go to Bristol Motor Speedway next week. Then we have a 2-week hiatus for Christmas and New Year's, and then Five Flags and Charlotte Motor Speedway to round out the championship. But after tonight, Mitchell, of course, you're a previous champion here in the National Sim Racing Association on the Truck Series side of things. 3 races left after tonight. I mean, it really is go time if you want to get as many points as you can get before those final couple of races to really put yourself into position to possibly win a title.
I mean, like you said, the entire playoffs here in this format we have, you have to be driving every race and trying to get as many points as you can. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they're running an elimination. They're just running total points, aren't they, Peter?
Yeah, that is correct. It is a old school style chase. So they don't have any eliminations between now and the championship night, which will come in mid-January. But there is the number 10 machine, the John Deere 10 of Brady Smith, racing with Corey Shellman to his outside here in practice, just getting a feel for that Toyota Supra. Currently, Brady Smith sitting 22nd on the leaderboard here as the clock continues to tick away. Time to check on the chat, folks. We thank you for joining us here tonight on 3 Wide TV. It really is a pleasure to have all of you here each and every week. And I think so far tonight, we've really just had Rich Sobel and Brantley Roden in the chat. Brantley Roden of Harpoon Design. Rich Sobel saying Josh wasn't aware about the provisional. I don't think. Yeah, that's kind of put Josh in a little bit of a hole. But hopefully he can have a good race here tonight. Currently 10th position overall, sporting, I think, a little bit of a different look on the number 56 here tonight, saying, happy 30th anniversary, Mom and Dad. How about that? Great to see Josh Sobel keeping it in the family on that number 56 Chevy Camaro here tonight. So we'll keep our eyes on him as the checkered flag does fall here on the the practice session. We now go over into qualifying to determine which of these drivers here tonight, in a pretty big field, that's for certain here tonight, Mitchell, as we're looking at about 25 cars or so at the drop of the green flag.
Yep, definitely a pretty big field here with a lot of big drivers in this field trying to get their way into victory lane as a few cars starting to make their way out for qualifying. You see the 56 of Josh Sobel there. We're on somebody else who this is my struggle, Peter. Always 27. There it is. I'm bad with numbers. Don't worry. I always get it toward the end, but that is Stephen Ford there in the number 27. Peter's going to switch it up on me just when I figured out who it was. That is Brady Smith in that John Deere number 10. He's going to do it to me again. Showing me the 22 of Race Clark out for his lap. Jason Gracias, someone else. That's Stephen Ford again. Now we're back on the 15, the 17. That's John Canizaro. I know that one. And now that's Auto Club Speedway. So already the driver's going fast out on the racetrack, and my mouth is moving very fast up here in the broadcast booth. Is another car out on track, taking time. So far, no lap times in. We'll show you all that once it gets started. That is the 12 locking up his brakes, going down the back straightaway. Looking at the one of Jason Gracias headed down the back straightaway into turn 3. Very high speed racetrack as you're riding on top of Jason Gracias as he heads through turns 3 and 4 to put in his opening lap. I believe we'll see where that comes out for Jason Gracias as he is headed down the front straightaway. Currently, it is Race Clark on top of the point standings. Jason Gracias in second, but so far, a lot of drivers starting to trickle in lap times.
Yeah, a couple of lap times trickling in, and you can see, unfortunately, at the top of the top of the screen, our lap ticker that's up there that's supposed to show who is where is again causing problems. That's something we're going to be working on over the winter break. We do think here on 3 Wide TV, but you can keep track of where your drivers are there at the bottom of the screen. We'll have to go through that in a minute. Of course, we'll go through the whole starting lineup here in just a little bit. Garrett Gleason in the chat saying today must be a useless fat guy holiday. Garrett, you're selling yourself a little bit short. You're useful up here in the 3 Wide TV booth. You're more useful than the ticker at the top of the screen. We'll just leave it at that. That's might not be saying a whole lot, but right now it is Race Clark, fastest of all in the National Aeronautics and Space Administration machine. Jason Gracias second, so a couple of the chase drivers fastest right now in this session.
Yeah, so far, strong showing for your chase drivers here in qualifying for the most part. Maxwell Castro, chase driver, just jumped up to the top of the board. Race Clark now down to second. Jason Gracias in third. So your top 3 all chase drivers. Josh Sobel in the chase, he's down in 6th. And then you have to go down to Justin White in 9th. Is your chase driver, and those are all the ones in the top 10. So there's a good mix of non-chase drivers, but up toward the front of the field, it is gridlock by chase drivers as Philip Scott jumped up to the 3rd position. You are looking at the number 15 of Maxwell Castro as he is going around for his 2nd lap here. See what kind of lap time Maxwell can get in now. I do not believe that one was faster than his first. It was not, but nevertheless, Maxwell still sitting on pole provisionally with about a minute left in qualifying here, Peter. I'm not seeing too many more cars on track. I do see Johnny Williams is taking a lap right now out on track. And then that is the only other activity we have. No, I am wrong. Someone else is on track. That is Stephen. No, that's Drew Eisman. He's coming around. He is currently sitting 5th, seeing if he can improve his lap time the 2nd time around. We'll get a look at it. No, that lap's slower also for Drew Eisman. So from all the laps I've seen, the first lap was faster, Peter, but I looked at too many. But with about 30 seconds left, I think it's looking like Maxwell Castro will walk away as your pole sitter.
Yeah, of course, Maxwell Castro picking up the CraigSetupShop.co.uk Pole Award. Of course, Craig Setup Shop, a sponsor of the Pole Position Award here in the National Sim Racing Association. We do want to thank Craig Setup Shop for all that they do here in the NSRA series, both the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series and the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. That will be right here tomorrow night on 3 Wide TV at 9 o'clock Eastern. So you don't want to miss that. But like you said, it was Maxwell Castro putting it on the pole, and we'll see if we can get to that front lineup here in just a second. The field just now starting to get gridded here on the front stretch. And, well, here is that starting lineup. On the pole for not the first time this season, Maxwell Castro, he has been dominant in races that he started from the pole. Race Clark in the number 22 will be starting to his outside. And remember, Castro not only picking up that CraigSetupShop.co.uk UK pole award, but also was the fastest in the practice session. Philip Scott, Jason Gracias on row number 2, Drew Eisenman and Michael Madden on row number 3. New name there in the number 37 to the Beer Street Journal GrandNational.com series. John Cannizzaro Jr. will be rolling off from the inside of row number 4. John Freeman to his outside. Josh Sobel sporting that happy anniversary scheme on the number 56. And James Miller rounding out your top 10 there, Mitchell.
Yep, Shane Ledoux is going to start in the 11th position with Justin White, who's in the chase to his outside in 12th. Stephen Lachensky in 13th. Jeffrey Vickery, another chase driver, starts 14th. Stephen Ford will be 15th. Adam Pettit, 16th. Corey Shellman will start from the 17th position with Brady Smith, a chase driver, to his outside in 18th. Stephen Doziak Jr. starts 19th. Glenn Grimm rounds out your top 20 and the drivers who took time. Behind him is also Martin Plute, Randy Perdue, Stan Houseman, Travis White, Jason Shue, and Johnny Williams round out the 25-car field.
Yep, sorry about that, folks. There we go. That's the back half of the field. And the field just now rolling as the iRacing pace car gets us underway here tonight. And there they all start to roll off. You see them, oh man, looks like we got one car trying to warm up his tires. That is the 09 of James Miller, who was so strong, so strong at North Wilkesboro 1 week ago from tonight, all the way to the back half of the field. The number 7 back there, usually driven by Garrett Gleason. Well, it isn't driven by Garrett here tonight. It's going to be driven by Johnny Williams. So don't get those too confused. In the back of your head, I'm sure we will get those confused up here in the booth. I'm always getting Garrett Gleason confused with someone else. Usually it's Drew Eisenman, who's sporting a new look on the number 77 this week. Let's see if we can get a close-up look. And it goes in tune with the BeerStreetJournal.com because that is the Alpine Beer Company on the number 77. A really good-looking ride. Look at that sun just coming up over the horizon there, or maybe it's setting. I don't know which. One or the other, but a really good-looking hot rod is that number 77 of Drew Eisenman, getting set to take the green flag here tonight. Of course, if you have not checked out BeerStreetJournal.com, well, make sure you do so, because BeerStreetJournal.com is a place to go for all your craft beer needs. Pace car is on pit road. We're about to go green flag. Only 60 laps here tonight. Only a 120-mile race. This race should go by in a hurry, and the green flag waves. Mitchell, we're racing towards turn number 1. A good start by that outside line with Race Clark. In fact, he might have beat Maxwell Castro to the line, and he's getting a push from the number 1 of Gracias as they head towards turn 1.
Yep, the front 2 rows 2 by 2 as they headed into the turn. Maxwell Castro able to nose out front, leaving the 2 behind him, Race Clark and Philip Scott side by side for the second position. Jason Gracias in that 1, you see him with a good run there on the high line, getting up in front of Drew Eisenman and trying to challenge Philip Scott, but already 3 wide toward the front of the field. Is that something that we are used to seeing here at Auto Club? It really, there's a lot of different ways to race, and these drivers in the Beer Street Journal series here in the National Sim Racing Association definitely not afraid to mix it up. Early on here is up front, battle for the lead between Maxwell Castro and Race Clark. Clark had a run on the inside headed into the turn, but great run on the outside from Maxwell Castro, able to easily pull back out front. Philip Scott now looking to the inside of Race Clark for that second position down the back straightaway as they're 3 wide, a little bit behind him. Philip Scott in that National Ninja League Ford up into the second position with a good run on entry, but Race Clark fighting back on the exit. Meanwhile, back here in the pack, it is great side-by-side racing. Several rows deep, all these cars stacked up in a pack. You can see really the 2 lines of the draft that start to form up here, because at big tracks like Auto Club, that draft where the car in front pushes the air out of the way for the cars behind him, that really does help a lot here. As you can see, the 56 of Josh Sobel there in that pack. He's just getting clear of that 2x2 racing, trying to make his way up to the front, but great battles throughout the field.
Yeah, great battles throughout the field as we get a little bit better look of Josh Sobel's number 56 as he races side by side with James Miller right there in the 09. The Canadian driver got the Tim Hortons on the hood in the rear of that 09 machine as they head towards turn number 1. This race is really going to click off pretty quickly. Drew Eisenman has been locked in a battle now with John Cannizzaro Jr. for a couple of laps, and of course back behind them is Michael Madden in the number 37 machine, making his league debut here tonight in the BearStreetJournal.com Grand National Series, trying to whip around the outside. Drew Eisenman not able to do so just yet. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, side-by-side battle between Scott and Clark yet again. Of course, Race Clark is one of the chase drivers and came out of last week's race at North Wilkesboro with a fairly decent points line, if you want to call it that. It was a wacky and wild end to the race last week here on 3 Wide TV. If you did not see it, well, I really suggest going back and watching the final 3 or 4 laps of that one because it was absolutely crazy. Now Clark going to slot up in front of Jason Gracias. Clark and Gracias here, second and third in points, kind of in reverse order. Clark is third in points, Gracias second in points, so they're hoping for a good points night between each of them to try and close in on Brady Smith, who comparatively, Brady Smith has not had a great start to the race. There he is back in the 19th position, running right behind Steven Doziak. They're 3 wide packed behind him. That is Travis White, Glenn Grimm, and Randy Perdue, I think, who was involved in that 3 wide action. Backed out of it there in the middle. Kind of cooler heads prevailing at this point of this racetrack. Mitchell, it's a wide racetrack. You got plenty of room to race on, and you can kind of make a pass in your line. You can kind of back up a corner a little bit to hit the throttle hard on exit to try and get that run. Of course, this racetrack, you want to avoid the outside wall because it is a very aero-sensitive racetrack, but this is a racetrack that I really like racing at because it gives you a lot of opportunities to make a pass for the lead. And speaking of making a pass for the race lead, there goes Philip Scott, the number 99 National Ninja League Ford Mustang, up at the front of the field, winner last week here on 3 Wide TV in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, trying to get himself up to the front. We have heard that Randy Perdue has had a moment. Let's see if Randy Perdue might have had a bigger moment than what we expected. Just off the racetrack here, the number 25 Chevy Camaro. This would be an early departure from the race. Just comes down onto pit lane right there, and seems like everything's going okay, but we're hearing that he kind of pulled off and had to return to the pit, so we'll see whether or not Randy Perdue gets back out there on the racetrack. But as they run right now, looks like Maxwell Castro has got himself back up to the race lead, got around Philip Scott, and now we're side by side for third between Gracias and Clark.
Yep, Philip Scott trying to play playoff spoiler up there for those chase drivers as he is going to try and slide in front of Maxwell Castro once again. For a while, Philip Scott was the only non-playoff driver inside the top 5, but Michael Madden's gotten around Drew Eisenman to take the 5th position. But you can see Maxwell Castro got the run out of turn 4, once again back up front, but he's definitely not scooting away from this field. All these drivers stacked up right behind him. You can see Philip Scott going high, trying to build some momentum up as they go down the back straightaway. We'll see if Philip can manage to get a run down into turns 3 and 4. He had one the other lap, but he didn't make it stick. Let's see if he learned a lesson here as we go down in there once again. Maxwell Castro doing a great job on the outside line. You can see Jason Gracias found that clean air in between those two cars. There's plenty of room to race, like you were talking about, Peter. You see guys go all the way up to the wall, and even in NASCAR, they'll use that apron down there to get the cars turned. That's not as popular here on iRacing, but there are plenty of options, and you're seeing that right now as they are staying side by side on the top and middle of the racetrack. And if you're Jason Gracias here, sitting in third. These two are really slowing each other up racing like this, so you get an opportunity, but you also have Race Clark, who's to your outside, so you're hoping that they get slowed up so you can make a move for the race lead, but things got really tight there for Gracias as the 22 of Race Clark had a pretty good run, got right to the back bumper of the number 1 car. Gracias with a good run down the front straightaway. Give the lead, though, to Philip Scott. Put Gracias up in second, so 2 for 1 positions lost there for Maxwell Castro. Philip Scott, your new race leader, looking back in the pack. That's Drew Eisman. He's in the chase, battling with John Canizaro on the higher lane. Canizaro with the high line momentum should take the position down the back straightaway from Eisman. Canizaro puts himself up into the 6th position now. Back a little bit further in the field, the 69 of Steven Lachensky on the inside there. There's Josh Sobel, you see, and that's Adam Pettit in front of them. All these cars under a blanket. For the 11th position is Shane Ledoux, I think, in the 27. No, Stephen Ford. Stephen Ford, I was right. Second time's the charm. He got up into the wall on corner exit. Definitely not what you want to do at a very aero-sensitive track like Auto Club, where the aerodynamics are so important. So that's definitely going to hurt that number 27 car this early in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, look at this. Jason Gracias in the number 1, challenging for the race lead on Philip Scott. We have now got through the opening 11 and a half laps. We'll make that 12 laps this time by, so 20% of the race already down. I said that this race could go by in a hurry. It's only 120 miles, and Mitchell, I think that's going to add a little bit to the sprint mentality that we might see out there here tonight. You really got to go. You got to try and get that track position, but already a little bit of a good green flag run at the drop of the green flag as Maxwell Castro now slides back into the 4th position. Our pole sitter here tonight, Jason Gracias, to the lead for the first time. Philip Scott, who started on the in the 3rd spot, he is now running in 2nd. Race Clark has fallen back 1 spot from where he started. So these top 4, they're actually still inside the top 4 from where they started, but almost in full reverse order as we continue to click off these laps. Drew Eisenman falling off the back of John Canizaro. Canizaro now trying to hound the back of Michael Madden, who has so far had a really good start to his Beer Street Journal Grand National Series career. Biggest mover of the race so far is the number 23 of Travis White. There he is a little bit further back in the pack, has gained 6 positions from the drop of the green flag. Started 23rd, now running 17th, so good start so far for the Carolina Tar Heel Blue number 23. But good racing kind of all over this racetrack. Oh man, that is Pettit and Vickery getting really close to one another. Jeffrey Vickery, one of our chase drivers, but was not at the last race at North Wilkesboro, racing really tight with that number 58. Is this little group right here, you could really throw a blanket over, Mitchell.
Yeah, really close racing here between these 4 cars. Oh, they're going to go 3 wide now. Josh Sobel doesn't take it 4 wide, but they're going to stay 3 wide on corner exit. The 2, not a great run on exit. There comes Josh Sobel with a little run, but the 58, he's looking to take that position. No, checks up, and they are 3 wide yet again as they are headed through this corner. That's Jeffrey Vickery in the 21, Adam Pettit in the 58, and Sean Freeman, no, Justin White, excuse me. I'm looking at the wrong names. Justin White there in that 2 car, and then Josh Sobel in the 56. Those cars putting on a great show. Meanwhile, back up front, Jason Gracias stretching out his lead a little bit. Maxwell Castro trying to rebound a little bit from the positions he lost. He is around Race Clark, looking on the inside lane to get around Philip Scott in the 99. So Maxwell Castro looking to mount a charge back up to the front after he fell from 1st to 4th. You can see Philip Scott's been very good on the outside lane. It seems like it's been pretty difficult to get around drivers on the outside lane. As I say that, Maxwell Castro makes the pass there from the inside, but as these tires wear, from my experience here at Auto Club, Peter, and you can probably speak to this too, it usually gets more difficult to pass because you have less grip through these long sweeping corners. But it looks like right now these drivers are having no trouble taking it 2 and 3 wide. They're still putting on a show and making passes for us.
I don't know about that. I always like to save my tires at this racetrack in particular because you do get these long green flag runs. Philip Scott smacks the wall on entry. That's not going to do good things for last week's race winner in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Got the win at Dover. And more contact. The 99 and the 17 make contact and they go around. Caution flag waves for the first time here tonight.
Yep, first caution of the race, 18 laps in. We're going to get a look at it here on the 3-wide TV replay. You'll see Philip Scott up high, got into the wall on corner entry. The 37 and 22 got very close there through the corner. You can see the 22 going up the track here. Philip Scott just kind of up there. Maybe the 22 was trying to clear that 99 and just wasn't clear. That put Philip Scott into the wall, and unfortunately John Cannizzaro, an innocent bystander, in that one at the wrong place at the wrong time. He's going to get taken out. Doesn't look like too much damage on the 17. That number 99, he'll probably have quite a bit of damage. He got the wall twice there, plus some contact with other cars. We're going to see it again. That 22 just went up the racetrack and put Philip Scott in the wall. Not much the 99 could have done there to avoid that one, and luckily those two kept it out of that inside wall and didn't collect any other cars, which is very good for those two drivers and the rest of the cars in the field. You can see Philip Scott there, quite a bit of front end damage, and on the right rear of that car too, really crinkled up. So unfortunately for Philip Scott, that's probably gonna really hurt a car that's been up front challenging for the lead thus far in the race.
Yeah, and it's those types of things where you're kind of frustrated with what happened if you're the 99 Philip Scott, but you're also going to be frustrated, and you're going to be thinking about that. At least I do. When I'm in these races, I think about it. Man, if I had not hit the wall on entry, where would that have put me relative to the other cars? It would have completely changed. It might not have changed the scenario at all. He might have still gotten, hit by the 22 and turned around. But it's those types of things that at least go back into my head, and I go, man, what if I'd not hit the wall there? So Philip Scott here going to have a lengthy stay as they try and fix as much damage as possible. But those types of things, Mitchell, that's what goes through my head when those situations happen, is because, you did something, you made a small mistake, and it might have compounded. But it definitely seems like Philip Scott going to have a lengthy stay on pit road. The number 1 of Jason Gracias is going to hold station, however, in his Chevy Camaro. Maxwell Castro as well in the number 15. Race Clark comes off pit road in 3rd. John Freeman, a good showing for the 04 machine here tonight. He's picked up 4 spots from the drop of the green flag. James Miller in the 09, last week's race winner here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series at North Wilkesboro, with an extremely strong performance. I know he wasn't exactly happy with the way the race ended in the 09 machine, but he got the checkered flag nonetheless. But we've been alluding to our series sponsor here, the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. And if you have not checked out BeerStreetJournal.com yet today, well, I saw it on my Facebook feed earlier as well, because, of course, BeerStreetJournal.com has a Facebook page that you can like. But one of Asheville, North Carolina's biggest breweries, Highwire Brewing, is now opening a tap room in Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you're in the Cincinnati area, well, you got a new brewery coming to you, courtesy of Highwire Brewing. And thanks to our friends over at BeerStreetJournal.com with the article that you might want to go check out. So they've got tap rooms across North Carolina, as well as Knoxville, Tennessee, and Louisville, Kentucky as well. So pretty cool to see that another brewery is expanding. And as someone who keeps an eye on breweries, and a lot of breweries that are kind of across the country with COVID, a lot of breweries and small tap rooms are really struggling. So it's good to see one going out there and actually expanding across the country. So that's good news. We got Jelly Dough in the chat saying, this one car better win or I'm rioting. All right, JD, we can hear you from up here in the booth. Adam Dama also saying hello, good morning from Korea. And Rich Sobel Also joining in on the welcomes, pace car headed on pit road, Ryder Leangle and RC Plains upset after the number 99 of Philip Scott involved in that last accident. But the green flag waves here. We're just at the 1/3 race distance. 20 laps in the books. 40 laps left to go. And some good side-by-side racing back here in the pack, Mitchell, before we head off into turn number 1. John Freeman, Race Clark side-by-side.
Yep, great start for the outside lane. Put those drivers up toward the front. Maxwell Castro was able to get into second place, but those front two jumped out a little bit. Race Clark on the inside trying to fight with the car there, it's the 04 of John Freeman there. Is really close racing through the turn there between the 58 of Adam Pettit and the 09 of James D. Miller. They got really close through that corner, still side by side down the front straightaway. We're about to do that all over again in turns 1 and 2. Watching these two again, we'll see if they play a little bit nicer this time down through turns 1 and 2. Looks like they will. The 58 able to get the position from the 09 is mostly single file now out in the front of the field. Not quite like the last restart, but I wouldn't expect it to stay like that for too long, as if that opening run in the race indicated anything, is that these drivers in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series are here to race. As Jason Gracias still holding his lead, the order hasn't really changed much up here through the pack, all single file, trying to get a little draft. Race Clark thought about making a move on Drew Eisman in the 77. Not going to happen, though, as Gracias leading the field through turns 1 and 2. Maxwell Castro with a run, though, up the inside. The 15 of Maxwell Castro trying to get the move made on Jason Gracias for the race lead. Try to side draft him a little bit, as we see Philip Scott in that National Ninja League number 99 still sitting in his pit stall. Peter, is this day done for Philip Scott? Maybe. We're not quite sure.
Yeah, it might very well be. Just jumped to his pit box, so I think that is indication that it is night done for the number 99. Of course, not one of the chase drivers, just trying to go out there and play spoiler amongst the chase drivers. But speaking of chase drivers, currently 1-2 and battling for the race lead as Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro go toe-to-toe as we come out of turn number 2, just 7 laps away from the cross flags here in the California 120, BearStreetJournal.com Grand National Series in the National Sim Racing Association. Because I'll tell you what, if you want to hit up the National Sim Racing Association, you can let us know here on 3YTV. Check out their Discord page, or put in an application in the iRacing.com league page, as Maxwell Castro is now clear of Jason Gracias. We go single file for the first 7 or 8 cars until you get back to Travis White, who's looking to the inside of Josh Sobel, who's crept his way back up inside the top 10. Here comes Justin White trying to get underneath that number 56 machine. We definitely have not been short on side-by-side battles here tonight so far in the opening 25 laps. If you're just now joining us, 1 caution flag we have seen here tonight. But with that being said, the racing has been really, really good here at this 2-mile racetrack. And Mitchell, we say, oh man, the 23 there of Travis White, almost collecting that outside wall. I think he just might have missed it. Throw some sparks, but that car looks all fine and dandy. But we say this is a 2-mile racetrack. They are going to reconfigure this racetrack. They're going to turn it into a short track, which is mind-blowing to me and extremely unfortunate, because, in my opinion, this is one of the best 2-mile racetracks out there. Because of the fact, Eisenman's in the wall, Eisenman's in the wall. Similar to what happened to Philip Scott. Now he's going to try and get back in line. This time he's able to get back in line without anyone else kind of encroaching on his quarters. But that's not good for the right side of that Ford Mustang. We'll see how that affects the 77 of Eisenman. Drops him down to the 6th position. Not terrible, could have gone worse, as meanwhile we got a battle for the race lead between Gracias and Castro again. This is a battle that's been just seesawing back and forth since we saw the drop of the green flag here tonight. We got T. Sobel saying, how about a good close-up of Josh so you can screenshot it? Well, let's see if we can do that for you this time, as he races on by the start-finish line. There is that number 56. You'll see him get a little bit closer right here. Well, unfortunately, we have the good old catch fence there, just kind of in the way. We'll see if we can get maybe one looking out back of James Miller's back end. There is the front of that number 56 machine of Josh Sobel. And Garrett Gleason in the chat saying nothing he could have done. Unfortunately, just the driver kind of pushing up the racetrack, and there was that contact, and it was day done for the number 99. Now joining us in the 3Y TV chat as we're looking at this battle on the back half of the top 10. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, Justin White and Race Clark are battling toe-to-toe just inside the top 10 as well, just in front of Josh Sobel. And it looks like Justin White in the number 2 machine started in 12th, now up to 6th. Good start for the number 2.
Yep, Justin White definitely making progress up through the field as the battle between Race Clark, Josh Sobel, and James Miller settles down for the time being. Still single file though. They've peaked out a little bit. Currently they're running side by side as I heard the sound of somebody else getting into the wall. Don't know who that was. Could have been a little audio glitch by iRacing, but nevertheless still starting to spread out a little bit, but this pack maintaining itself still single file. You see everyone really for the most part following where Jason Gracias is going, trying to keep the draft up. And we've seen challenges come up from Maxwell Castro a little bit, but here is a little bit of a battle. Here we're looking at John Cannizzaro and the 37 of Michael Madden for 16th and 17th place, a little further back in the pack. Cannizzaro got involved in that incident with Philip Scott just a little while ago, trying to work his way back up through the field, but currently 17th is where he finds himself as Michael Madden able to hold him off. As this is one of my favorite cameras here on the front straightaway. You see a little side-by-side racing, maybe Josh Sobel sliding up in front of whoever he was racing with, but for the most part single file. We do have a battle going on right now for, let me see if I can find who it is, the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery and the 09 of James Miller. We're getting a little bit racy through the corner, but they have single filed it back out though. Steven Lachensky and Travis White are battling for the 10th position, as you could see as they flew by there on the 3Y TV camera, as we're going all the way around the track with all the different camera angles we bring you here on 3Y TV as the field heads down that long front straightaway. And those cameras kind of show you how long this straightaway is. And let's see, Peter, are we going to get run over? I don't think so. Probably not, but you can always hope. It usually doesn't happen at this track, but it's always fun when it does.
Yeah, always fun when our camera inside the racetrack gets run over. This time, everyone avoiding it. Jason Gracias holding on to an okay lead. A couple of car lengths between the 1 and the number 15. Another few more car lengths, though, back to John Freeman in the 04, who's solidly residing inside the top 3 as they run. And then Adam Pettit in the 58, who as of right now is the biggest mover of the race, plus 12 positions from the drop of the green flags, as the first half of the race is now in the rear view mirror, right inside the final half of the race here tonight. Speaking of race, there's Race Clark running right behind Drew Eisenman. Eisenman also now looks like he's got a little bit of possible left side damage to the number 77. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that right. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting some of those wavy lines on that number 77. That really good-looking paint scheme. The bright red numbers really pops from Eisenman's car here tonight. Runs there in front of Race Clark and Justin White, another one of our chase drivers in the number 2 machine. So Justin White in 7th, sporting the C on the machine. I'm not sure why some of the C's are not coming up on what you all see at home at the top of the screen. But Josh Sobel has a C, Justin White has a C to indicate they're chase drivers. So does Race Clark. In fact, all 5 of these drivers that you see right here are all drivers in the chase, racing just around the top 10. In fact, Jeffrey Vickery is in 9th. Race Clark, with that pass, has moved up into 5th. And Josh Sobel, good job for him, currently running in the 8th position, trying to pick up some more spots. And why don't we jump on board here with the driver of the number 56 machine and ride on board? Why don't you take us for a lap around this joint, Mitchell?
All right, headed through turns 1 and 2. You can see Justin White going up the inside, getting really close to Drew Eisman. Looks like Josh Sobel thought about taking a run to the inside. He's going to jump up to the outside down this long back straightaway, trying to stay in the draft of Drew Eisman to try and get as good a run as he can. Headed into turn 3, he's off the throttle. Usually don't use the brakes much here. Of course, I don't think I've ever driven one of these NSRA Beer Street Journal cars around this track, but down the front straightaway now, same thing, very long, trying to stay in the draft as much as you can, but Eisman jumped down a little bit to give Justin White a tow, but back up top, now inside the car, you can kind of see a little bit of banking, not too much here at Auto Club compared to some of the other tracks we go to, but getting down the back straightaway, he's just trying to stay in the draft as much as he can, and that's really what all these drivers are going to be doing. They want to keep in the draft so that their car has to do as little work as you can. Is now riding on the back of Jason Gracias, your race leader. You can see Maxwell Castro right behind him, right on the bumper of Jason Gracias. Both these drivers in the chase. Maxwell Castro getting to the high side of Jason Gracias. Gracias, though, squeezed him out as they headed into turns 1 and 2. Battle for the lead, though, is on between these two. They've broken away from Adam Pettit, the 58, who is solidly in the 3rd position now, up from 16th, so a great run so far for Adam Pettit. But our focus right now on the race for the lead between these two chase drivers, looking for a great points day with the struggles that Brady Smith has had so far. He's your points leader coming in relegated to the 19th position, started 18th, so there's been very minimal progress for that 10 as you see him there. He's stuck battling for the 18th position with Shane Ledoux and Randy Perdue, so definitely not the run your points leader wanted coming into this race. Definitely going to allow drivers to close up on him. Meanwhile, looking at possible green flag pit stop starting up here. We've got the 09 of James Miller on pit road, so fuel window could be open. We're just going to have to wait and see if there are more takers in the next few laps. But out on track, it's still Jason Gracias, Maxwell Castro leading this race. Gracias seems to have had a firm command on the race lead since we went back green. Maxwell Castro, we saw him get a run a few laps ago as the field going to go around James Miller now as he's just exiting pit road. So far these drivers electing to stretch it on fuel a little longer, so maybe an early stop. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what this shakes out, but the field a lot more spread out this run than it was the last time. You see some drivers side by side there. That's the 2 of Justin White battling with the 77 of Drew Eisman. Both of those drivers are in the chase. So is Jeffrey Vickery right behind them in that 21 car. This is the battle for 7th place on track. No, I take that back to 6th place. No, it's not 7th. As there goes Drew Eisman. Peter down pit road. Eisman making his stop. So green flag stops are starting as there goes Stan Houseman behind him. John Canizaro and several others into pit road.
Yeah, so definitely we are experiencing green flag pit stops here for the first time here tonight. Stan Houseman in the BeerStreetJournal.com. Chevy Camaro comes down to his pit box. There he is. Here comes Travis White back behind him. Stephen Doziak, John Canizaro, like you mentioned. But up at the front of the field, we're going to keep our eyes on the race leaders. 21 laps to go this time. And Jason Gracias is a little bit lower on the racetrack. Is Gracias coming to pit lane? Yes, he is. He will get on the brakes, try and get down to 55 miles an hour before that yellow cone. And here comes Adam Pettit, Race Clark, Josh Sobel, the 2, Justin White, Jeffrey Vickery also joining this pit road group here. Maxwell Castro, John Freeman, Stephen Lashinsky, Glenn Grimm all staying out here, as we're down to just 20 more laps to go at this 2-mile racetrack. 40 miles left in tonight's race. The 15 of Castro is your race leader. Just waiting for him to come down pit road. We expect him on pit lane this time. We'll see whether or not that happens. Drew Eisenman is off pit road. And one thing we have to watch out for here, Mitchell, is pit road speeding penalties. It looks like Maxwell Castro did a good job getting down onto pit road. So far, I'm not seeing any pit road speeding violations. That's good news, as the 04 machine, John Freeman, he's going to stick it out another lap in his Chevy. He will be your race leader as they run right now. Stephen Lashinsky in the number 69, Glenn Grimm in the 08, also yet to make their final pit stop here. The good news is, for all the drivers that came on and off pit road, not seeing any pit road speeding violations, which is, in my opinion, a little bit of a surprise. Usually you see at least one person speed, but not seeing that here tonight. Also want to make mention that Stephen Ford in the number 27, he might have not taken tires, hoping to see a caution flag later in the race. And if that's the case, it might give him a little bit of an advantage. Meanwhile, Maxwell Castro in the number 15, he's out there just now getting up to speed, just coming off pit road. You can see he's blended back in behind Jason Gracias. And I'm a bit surprised here, Mitchell, because Gracias did not get as far ahead as I expected him to in that one extra lap that he had on fresh tires. You can see Drew Eisenman, he made up quite a bit of time. He pitted 1 lap prior to Jason Gracias. He must have had a stellar pit stop in the number 77. And Adam Pettit, he was able to leapfrog over Jason Gracias and will become the race leader once Glenn Grimm comes down pit road. And as I say that, the cameraman flips the camera around because Glenn Grimm is coming onto pit road right now.
Yep, a great round of pit stops for Adam Pettit and Drew Eisman. Not so much for Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro, as they both lost position. Gracias, though, is up and around Drew Eisman, as Eisman back up into the wall in turn 3. Not what the 77 wanted to do again here at Auto Club. So far, though, that 77 car really didn't seem to be fazed by that other little trip into the wall, as I believe it was him who got the wall earlier. He is doing all right so far, and so hopefully that doesn't mess up the aerodynamics of that 77, but he has Maxwell Castro trying to run him down, but it is Adam Pettit out front, smooth sailing for the driver of the 58, as he should, I would think, take the race lead this time around once the standings filter through and they cross the line this time around. So Jason Gracias is going to have his eyes set on that 58, really try to run him down. There's about about 7/10 of a second, as I had to do some quick mental math there, gap for the race lead, as now it makes it easier as they cross the start finish line. And the results update, 6/10 of a second is the gap between Adam Pettit and Jason Gracias. Drew Eisman another half second back. Maxwell Castro, though, is able to get around Eisman for the 3rd position, so it is now Pettit, Gracias, Eisman, your top 3. And here's another little thing to look at. Drivers 2nd through 7th position on the racetrack are all chase drivers. So Adam Pettit is out here trying to play chase spoiler. The only driver in the top 8 not in the chase is currently leading the race, with 16 coming to 15 laps to go.
Yeah, 15 laps to go here for Adam Pettit to try and pick up his first win of the season here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. We only got 25% of the race left here tonight. It is absolutely flying on by. We thank you for joining us here on 3Y TV. You see live timing and scoring in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. But we are going to focus on the battle between these two right here, the two drivers that up until this last pit stop, Mitchell, have been the dominant forces here tonight, between Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro. And Gracias has a little bit of an advantage because he's got that track position, but Maxwell Castro has the advantage of fresher tires. That could pay dividends for that number 15 as this race wears on.
Yeah, and the 15 definitely making that tire advantage shown here on Jason Gracias, as Gracias is losing time to Adam Pettit, the race leader, but he is now going to have to deal with a mirror full of Maxwell Castro as they head through turns 1 and 2, but there's another great battle going on here between the two of Justin White and the 04 of John Freeman for the 9th position. Stan Hausman in the 39 is the 8th place driver. Justin White looking to the inside of John Freeman there, trying to make the pass, maybe get under Hausman there for the 8th position would be ideal, but it is actually John Freeman on the outside lane taking it 3 wide out of turn 4. John Freeman with a great move to get to the outside of Stan Hausman, as that battle is going to settle down back in the pack now, looking back up at Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro for the 2nd position. These two actually pushing each other to some faster lap times as they're bringing in Adam Pettit just a little bit now, but Maxwell Castro looking to the inside of Jason Gracias, trying to take advantage of those fresher tires and get around Gracias. Castro definitely seems to be the faster car right now, but it's very possible Jason Gracias tried to save some tires for the long run, but nevertheless, they need to start doing something to run down the race leader of Adam Pettit, but Pettit is in dirty air from that lap car, and it showed up there. They gained 0.3 of a second, so these two battling for second, but they are still running up on your race leader Adam Pettit, who's now in lap traffic, and that kind of takes away the advantage of clean air that can be pretty valuable here sometimes. It's the 12 of Shane Ledoux. I thought he was going to pull down, but so far they are still side by side. Maxwell Castro, you see the move there out of the back of the 58 of Adam Pettit. Castro now up to the 2nd position, coming to 11 laps to go. So almost within 10 laps to go in the closing stages of this race, and we have a great battle for the lead on our hands.
And remember what happened last week at North Wilkesboro. We saw contact up inside the top 5 on the final lap. It all went pear-shaped on the final lap. Could we see some more contact inside the top 5 with the laps winding down here? Adam Pettit being closed in on by Maxwell Castro in the number 15. Gracias losing a couple of car lengths that last time. Looks like the number 12 of Ledoux is going to finally head on out over to the outside of the racetrack and fall, I believe, 2 laps down at, more than 2 laps down at this stage. 2 laps down. For sure at this stage of the race. And here comes Maxwell Castro. Huge run coming out of turn number 4. I look over at the live timing and scoring, and he's going to flash on by to the race lead. The freshest tires out of the top 3 and 10 laps to go for Maxwell Castro. And he really needed a good night entering this race in the point standings, because I'll tell you what, he was, I believe, 6th in points after that last race. So it is going to be very important that he's able to come out of here with a strong run. It's going to be 5th place in points, 30 points behind the points leader, Brady Smith, who's really struggling here tonight. For all of you Brady Smith fans in the chat, 18th position right now. There he is racing with Glenn Grimm, who's on the fresher tires. So Glenn Grimm is going to scoot on by. But it just hasn't been the night that John Deere number 10 was hoping for. Of course, there's still a lot of laps left. Meanwhile, Adam Pettit under fire. This is the battle for second between Pettit and Gracias as they head out of turn number 2.
Yeah, and look at Gracias in the points, too. He came into tonight 2nd place, 13 points behind Brady Smith. So Gracias also looking at a great points night, potentially up to the race lead. We'll have to see where it shakes out. As I say that, though, contact between Jason Gracias and Adam Pettit in turn 3. That almost turned disastrous for these two drivers who've been so fast in these closing stages, and Jason Gracias, who's really dominated the race for most of it. He's really struggling now with Adam Pettit. Pettit on the oldest tires of all these cars out here, I believe. And Gracias trying again into turn 1 to make that inside lane work up the track a little bit. They're going to stay side by side down the back straightaway, and this is allowing Maxwell Castro to pull out with the race lead. Behind them a little bit is Race Clark. He's just getting around the 12 of Shane Ledoux. Also, Clark not quite in this picture, but if these two start battling hard enough, he might be. But Jason Gracias was able, you saw it there on 3Y TV, he was able to get that position from the 58 of Adam Pettit, put Gracias back up into the second position. But that was a really difficult battle, and definitely the tires probably really warmed up, really screaming after that. So it might be difficult for Jason Gracias to run down the race leader who's been up in clean air. We will just have to wait and see. As you can see, the gap now that has developed between Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro, up to 1.4 seconds when they crossed the line last time by. So Gracias has his work cut out for him with only almost 6 laps to go, is now looking back at a battle further in the pack. This is the battle for the 6th position. Here we go, between Jeffrey Vickery and Josh Sobel, both of them in the chase. John Freeman in the number 4 right behind him. He is not in the chase, trying to play spoiler on these drivers here. Drew Eisman is just a little ways in front of this group, so watch out pretty soon. Drew Eisman's position, he is running 5th, might be under fire from these cars here. As you can see, pretty good run from the drivers on the high line. As Josh Sobel struggling, he's going to end up checking up out of it, but still really good battles. As maybe they're going to end up being 3 wide out of this corner. Maybe no, that was really tight between Josh Sobel and John Freeman. But Eisman going to give Freeman some draft there on the inside lane down the front straightaway. 5 laps to go. Intense battles here with all these chase drivers.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. Drew Eisman has been caught by this group, so this will kind of be the battle for the 5th spot with just 5 laps to go. Justin White is kind of just off of the screen. You can't quite see them, but he's kind of locked in a battle with Stan Houseman. There is Houseman and Justin White. I think something must have just happened to that battle, because they were a little bit closer just a moment ago based off of my live timing and scoring. Meanwhile, Freeman up into the outside wall. I was just about to say that Drew Eisman is now under fire. Oh, man, they almost make contact there between the 21 and the 77 as we head down the front straightaway. 4 laps to go here, 8 miles here at Auto Club Speedway in California. And, of course, this is a racetrack that Drew Eisman used to call kind of his home away from home track. He lived in California while he did his duties for the United States Armed Forces, and used to go to this racetrack. He went to that infamous IndyCar race when it was about 4,000 degrees in California while that race went on. Meanwhile, here comes Josh Sobel. We're going to be 3 wide. Oh, we almost make contact. They are able to fan out from one another, but look at Josh Sobel here going up the middle. 3 laps to go. They're trying to get every little drop they can get out of this race.
Fantastic job by Josh Sobel not getting into the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery, who continues to fight on the outside lane with Drew Eisman on his inside. They've got the 7 of Johnny Williams right behind them on some fresher tires. He is a lap down, though. Several laps down is Johnny Williams. So he's still a factor in this battle. Meanwhile, up front, the battle for second place is on as Maxwell Castro is scooted away to a 2.5 second race lead, but Jason Gracias under fire from Adam Pettit, and here is Race Clark. He has caught up to these two here with 2 laps to go now here at Auto Club Speedway. Just 4 miles away from the conclusion of this race. Jason Gracias really wants to hold these cars off for a great points day here, especially with one of his championship rivals up there probably going to win the race unless something absolutely dramatic happens. So far, Gracias looks steady there on the wheel, maintaining the gap back to Race Clark and Adam Pettit. Coming to 1 lap to go, though, here on 3 Wide TV. As you can see, the battle for the second position is on here on the final lap. Gracias has it. Adam Pettit and Race Clark won it, but no one has gotten a run so far. Race Clark with a run down, though. Very close to the back of Adam Pettit in the number 58 there, headed into turn 1. But so far, smooth sailing for these 3 is their last chance really coming up here in turns 3 and 4. Gracias going down to try and break the draft back to Adam Pettit in the 58. Headed through the final turn of the race. Maxwell Castro up front. smooth through turns 3 and 4. He's going to take the win. Meanwhile, our eyes are on the battle for the 3rd position with Race Clark trying to get under Jason Gracias. Not going to happen. Maxwell Castro, there he was, crossing the line to win the race. Jason Gracias going to bring it home 2nd with Adam Pettit in 3rd and Race Clark 4th. What a finish there at the end.
Yeah, great finish there for the 2nd spot. Your top, or not necessarily your top 4, but 2nd through 4th separated by just about a half second as the rest of the field flashes on by. The flagman, who is absolutely waving the life out of that checkered flag. That is definitely a flag that might need to be replaced after this is all said and done. Here comes Maxwell Castro picking up what is, I believe, his 3rd win on the season to tie Jason Gracias in the wins tally, and that's extremely impressive considering Maxwell Castro only has 8 starts this season, so he's almost won 50% of the starts to join those wins that he had back at Sonoma and the Atlanta Motor Speedway. In fact, he almost went 3 in a row to start his National Sim Racing Series career, but a couple of races as of late have not gone his way, so he will be excited to get back to winning ways here in the National Sim Racing Association. Jason Gracias, we believe, will come out of this race tonight as the points leader. And how about Josh Sobel, sporting that happy anniversary car, gets a top 5. Just want to say to the Sobels, happy anniversary, happy 30th anniversary. Congratulations on that, and thanks for being a member of the 3Y TV chat week after week after week. We really appreciate you joining us in the chat. That is for sure. Maxwell Castro doing some burnouts here on the front stretch for everyone at home, is finally able to get that number 15 machine turned back around, and we'll be throwing some smoke for everyone to watch here on the broadcast. I'll tell you what, Mitchell, a really good race here tonight with some really good action. Only 1 caution flag all race long.
Yes, this track definitely didn't disappoint, and neither did these drivers in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series in the National Sim Racing Association. Auto Club, known for this kind of pack racing side by side, and it definitely did exactly that, as we had a great finish there toward the end. Battles all the way through the run. Sometimes the drivers get separated when the tires wear. That did not happen tonight, and so it's very entertaining for me to watch, and I hope all our viewers out there in the chat enjoyed it as well, and all of you watching from home, as Maxwell Castro finished up his burnouts, and I assume pretty soon we'll get to talk to these top 3 drivers here.
Yeah, just lining up our top 3 interviews here tonight for everyone at home. Definitely going to be fun to hear their take here, and that's definitely not the right thing, and I don't think it's going to go away. Braxton DeWeese ran it into another league that we broadcasted here. There we go. It's finally gone away. Let's see if we can get those top 3 finishers. That's the button that I wanted to hit, and I've screwed it up again. There we go. That's the button I wanted to hit. Let's see if we can get Adam Pettit here in to the 3Y TV booth, and that's not it. That's flight simulator stuff. My, oh my, things unraveling here pretty quickly. Adam Pettit, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'll tell you what. A really strong race. A stellar pit stop for that number 58 bunch. I mean, absolutely came down pit road. All of a sudden, you picked up probably about 2 whole seconds on that green flag pit stop. Kind of walk us through that and that late race battle there between Jason Gracias. I thought once Gracias got around you, he was going to be able to pull away, but you stuck with him right there to the end, and then you had the number 22 filling your rear view mirror. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the pit stop, it's something that I've been working on over the last year or so, is trying to get as much as I can out of the entry, and then just making sure that I, get straight in my box. I know the more, kind of sideways you are, the slower your pit stop is. And so I was able to take advantage of that. And then I didn't know what it was like to be out front. I didn't know how hard to push or not. And obviously I pushed a little too hard. I know Max pitted a lap after me, so he had fresher tires, and then I feel terrible for getting into Jason there. I know he's battling for a championship, and this is my first race, and I didn't want to come in and do something like that, so I've apologized to him. I hope he understands that it was nothing on purpose. It was just racing, kind of an accident deal. So, but had a lot of fun tonight, and it was nice to have the speed that I had.
Yeah, definitely a really strong showing from that number 58. That's for sure. And of course, we have some really fun races coming up on the schedule here in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series in the National Sim Racing Association before we wrap up the season. Because after tonight, we only have, I think, 3 races left. Bristol next week, 2-week hiatus before we go to Five Flag, and then end up the season at Charlotte. But a couple of short tracks. You looking forward to those short tracks?
No, honestly, no. I'm not a short track kind of guy. I just hopefully maybe get a top 10, top 15 out of it, and try to build some momentum so I can start fresh next season with everybody.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, Adam, you got some shout outs for us here on 3Y TV?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Long MacArthur Ford, Roush Performance, Weidels Automotive, my teammate Michael Madden for jumping in here with me, and then a big shout out to the admins, Chris, I'm talking to him, and Stan, and then obviously you guys have watched a couple of your broadcasts kind of over the years. You guys do a wonderful job, so thank you guys.
Absolutely. And thank you, Adam, and best of luck next week when we go to Bristol.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's going to do it with our third place finisher here tonight, Adam Pettit. Let's see if we can go down and dial up tonight's runner-up and presumed points leader, the number 1 machine of Jason Gracias. I believe Mitchell Adams is caught up with Jason.
Yep, I'm here with Jason Gracias, second place finisher here tonight. Do you have a copy?
Hello.
Well, it's definitely a good race for you here tonight and a strong showing for you. Came up a little short of the race win, but you led so many laps here tonight. Tell us about your race and your thoughts afterward.
I left here still. I have no idea how to drive this track, so if anyone can give me pointers on how to get around here, my DMs are open.
Well, you definitely did a pretty good job on the night. We were watching the points battle between you and Maxwell Castro, both playoff drivers. It was definitely an entertaining race to watch. And looking at the point standings, you are in pretty good shape coming out of this race to possibly be up close toward that points lead, if not take it over. What are your thoughts about that and how you're going to handle that moving forward?
Well, I went in last week with the points lead. I left without the points lead. So if I go back into next week with the points lead, if history repeats itself, it doesn't look too good for me. So I don't know. We'll take it a week at a time.
Well, speaking of next week, the series is headed to Bristol. Always exciting and with playoff tensions. What are your thoughts headed into Bristol next week?
Everybody is my rival, so everybody's going to get payback. Everybody's going to get spun by me.
All right, pretty clear message coming from Jason Gracias headed into next week. But before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs you want to give here on 3YTV?
Yeah, in all seriousness, let me put my serious cap on. Let me take off my goofy hat. Shout out to NSRA and the team that runs this, Chris, for putting the series together, Justin White for putting this Grand National Series together, and thanks to Beer Street Journal for hopping on board as the presenting sponsor for this series, and thanks to MaxGrafix for always keeping me in the coolest looking paint schemes. Make sure you check him out on Facebook and his website, maxgrafix.com, MaxGrafix, or MaxGrafix.co. And make sure you guys head to Trading Paints and vote for Chris Darling. He's in the running for Paint of the Year. So everybody in the chat who's watching, whoever has Trading Paints, if you don't have Trading Paints, have your mom, have your dad, have your grandma, have your grandpa, even make your dog an account and go over there and vote for Chris Darling. And that number 7 car he made, that thing is really, really good looking. And I might be biased, but it's probably the best looking paint scheme on Trading Paints right now. And thanks to 3iTV for broadcasting this.
Well, thank you for stopping in and talking with us tonight, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Yeah, you might have to find me in the hauler for spinning everybody, but I'll be there.
All right.
All right, well, that's going to do it with tonight's runner-up, the number 1 of Jason Gracias, who will leave here tonight, presumably as the points leader, which is good news for him heading into Bristol, because it doesn't sound like he's looking forward to the short track, the half mile. But let's go down to Victory Lane, where Maxwell Castro has picked up his 3rd win of the season to go along with Sonoma and Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, Sonoma makes it the Cali double for Maxwell Castro. Maxwell, a great race here tonight. Great job on pit road. You came out with the bit between your teeth, got to the race lead, and were able to pull away. And tell us kind of about those final 30 laps and some of the good racing out there tonight.
Oh, yeah, there was some amazing racing. The battles with Jason and Race Clark and Drew Eisenman, those were awesome. I can't wait to rewatch it. But, yeah, I was just saving tire at the end, and I knew I was going to do just one lap after whenever Jason pitted. I just knew it was just going to be one lap afterwards. So, luckily, it worked out. I did slide through my pit box, but I was able to back up and immediately and get that pit stop going. But just, that last run was just, balls to the walls, hauling it, racing my heart out, trying to get that win after last week's rough finish.
You definitely made up for those last 10 laps or so at North Wilkesboro last week. It was an absolute disaster for you in those closing stages, but to here tonight, bouncing back at the Auto Club Speedway, getting your 3rd win of the season. And, let's kind of go through those wins. You got that win on the road course. You kind of sprung up all of a sudden, go to Victory Lane. Then you got that win at Atlanta. But this is your first win in the chase. How important is it to get a win in the chase to, like you said, kind of get things back on track?
Yeah, that's huge. The momentum is, that's going to transfer over to the next couple races, hopefully. A little confidence there. I'm really not comfortable with these cars yet, but I put a lot of practice in for this week. But, yeah, I'm just having a blast. I'm happy to do the Cali Sweep. It's my home state, so very, very thrilled about that. But really excited for the rest of this playoffs.
Well, next week we go to Bristol Motor Speedway before a 2-week hiatus for the holidays. What are your thoughts of Bristol next week?
I haven't turned a lap there on iRacing. I'll have to buy the track here tonight and put some laps in and just hope to stay ahead of the guys I need to stay ahead of and keep the car clean.
I think if you can do that at Bristol, doesn't matter where you finish, it is a job done. But Maxwell, congratulations on your win here tonight. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to shout out my buddy John Freeman. He's the reason why I joined this league. He's a good friend. We go back to the NASCAR heat on console days, and he's gotten me on iRacing. So big shout out to him, and huge thank you to getting me into this amazing league. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here and putting on a good show for all the fans in the 3 Wide TV chat. Maxwell, congratulations on getting the win here tonight, and we'll see you again next week at Bristol.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for our race winner here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up those final race results for all of... Well, that's the wrong band. I have hit every wrong button here tonight. There we go. That's the correct button. Well, let's see if we can bring up those final race results. Let's see if that button works. Still waiting. Still waiting. Try that. There we go. Wow. I think I've just been out of practice the past couple of weeks. I had that 1 week for Thanksgiving, and it just threw me out of the loop of all this broadcasting stuff. I'll tell you what. Maxwell Castro gets the win here tonight. Jason Gracias, 3.5 seconds back or so, and a Pettit in that group as well. Race Clark going to come home in 4th. Josh Sobel rounds out your top 5, honoring his parents' 30th anniversary. Drew Eisenman going to come home in 6th. Jeffrey Vickery, 7th. Stan Hausman in 8th. John Freeman and Justin White round out our top 10 there, Mitchell.
Michael Madden finished in the 11th position with John Cannizzaro in 12th. James Miller finished 13th. Stephen Lachensky 14th. Glenn Grimm 15th. Stephen Doziak Jr. 16th. Randy Perdue 17th. Travis White 18th. Brady Smith, your points leader coming into this race, ended up finishing 19th tonight. And Corey Shellman rounded out the top 20, with Jason Shue rounding out the field in 21st. Stephen Ford, Johnny Williams, Shane Ledoux, and Philip Scott in 25th, and Martin Plouffe did not start this race. And that is going to take you through your finishing order here at Auto Club Speedway.
So I want to give a big shout out to BeerStreetJournal.com for sponsoring tonight's race, and of course the series here, the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Of course, we also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Taz Racing Customs that give out the biggest race mover award, and tonight that is going to go to the driver of the number 14 machine, Stan Hausman. How about that? Stan in the number 39 BeerStreetJournal.com machine. He started all the way down in 22nd, finishing in 8th here tonight, plus 14 spots from the drop of the green flag. So congratulations to Stan Hausman. We'll be walking out of here with a strong top 10. And want to give a shout out to MaxGrafix.co as well. Stay Tuned Sports and their podcast. We'll be seeing the Stay Tuned Sports podcast truck series right here tomorrow night on 3Y TV as well at 9 o'clock Eastern. You will not want to miss it, Mitchell. It's going to be a great race. Of course, I'll be joined with Drew Eisenman alongside. And hopefully, Mitchell, you can join us in the chat tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll see if I can hop in. Sometimes I try to.
Definitely going to be an interesting one. That is for sure, as we take to the, well, very similar racetrack to this one, Michigan International Speedway, but instead of 120 miles, we're going 220 miles tomorrow night. So a little bit of a long one, a little bit of a short one here tonight, a little bit of a long one tomorrow night. Make sure you're here for that on the channel. Mitchell, any final thoughts about tonight's race? I thought it was a great race, some great side-by-side action.
It was definitely a great race here at Auto Club, and definitely showed that these drivers are here to race, especially coming down in the playoffs with the races winding down. I can think it'll only get better from here, and these races are going to keep getting very exciting. So definitely tune in next Thursday night here on 3Y TV at Bristol for the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. I know that I will after this race tonight, and hopefully we can see a lot of the same people out in the chat here again next week.
Absolutely. But for myself, Peter Short, Mitchell Adams, Garrett Gleason, who was trying to take the night off or something, but was in the chat for a while here tonight, and everyone else in the 3Y TV family, have a good night, folks. We'll see you later here on the channel. Stay safe, all that good stuff, and we shall see ya!